Hello friends, you're watching NFL Daily here on Chat Sports, presented by BetDSI, the internet's #1 sportsbook. I am your host, Tom Downey. Here we look at the latest NFL head coaching hot seat. Just one more game left in Week 15. Let's take a look at the 10 coaches who are most in danger of being fired once the season wraps up. At number 10, Jason Garrett worked his way back on the list. He was off it last week for good reason. They had won 5 straight games. The Cowboys were playing really well. And then they come out and lay an absolute egg against the Indianapolis Colts. Now, they should still make the playoffs, but in the end, I think that's enough for Jason Garrett to keep his job. But he deserves to be on it after the Cowboys look completely unprepared and just not ready for a game against a very good Colts team. Frankly, it's the worst showing we've seen from a Jason Garrett-led Cowboys team, if not ever, in a very long time. So my question for you, should Jason Garrett be on the hot seat? Give me a like for yes, a laughy face for no if you're watching on Facebook. If you're watching on YouTube, well, feel free just to chime in the comment section with your thoughts. Now, the Cowboys should still win the NFC East. They have a 1-game lead over the Eagles and the Redskins, but it's really a 1.5-game lead because they're going to win any tiebreaker involved there. So as long as they win one more game against the Bucs and the Giants, which they definitely should be able to do at least one of those games, right? They will win the NFC East. To number 9 now, John Harbaugh, another coach who is in position to make the postseason. Now, this could end up being a classic parting of the ways. It's mutual at the end of the year. Harbaugh drawing interest from other teams that have fired or are going to fire their head coach this offseason. If the Ravens fail to make the playoffs, if they drop a game down the stretch, finish 9-7 or 8-8, and end up missing the postseason again in back-to-back years in very painful fashion, then I think you'll see the two sides part ways. As of right now, they have the 6th spot in the AFC wildcard, which we'll discuss later on in the show today. But we'll see how that ends up going down from now. Pittsburgh still has that #1 spot. Mike Tomlin off this list now after a season-saving win against the New England Patriots. A huge win there for the Steelers to get that win and set themselves up in a very good shape. So that's where things stand right now. Pittsburgh has that #1 seed. Baltimore there at number 2. The Browns at number 3. And the Bengals at number 4. All right, folks, it is indeed the holiday season. I'm playing Santa Tom this year. You guys want an NFL jersey? Be it a Tom Brady, a Zeke, a Brees, Julio, whatever you guys want there. Get signed up with BetDSI, chatsports.com/bet. Use promo code LIVE120 when you guys deposit. And then DM us on Twitter at ChatSports. Once you guys do that, we can get you hooked up with an NFL jersey, the perfect gift this holiday season. Now, we have plenty of inventory, but these are going rather quickly. So if you're watching on YouTube, check the description. The links are near the top there. And if you're watching on Facebook, check the comments. We've got the links for BetDSI. It's chatsports.com/bets. And, of course, Twitter, very simply at ChatSports. All right, number 9, Jay Gruden, the Redskins head coach, has done a very good job. Number 8 has done a very good job. My bad, folks. Very good job as of late, and especially to get that win against the Jaguars. And the Redskins came out flat, looking like they had quit against the New York Giants, and then rallied against Jacksonville. And because of all the injuries, even though Dan Snyder does not like to keep head coaches longer than what Jay Gruden's been there, I think you'll see Gruden get another year in Washington. Frankly, I know some Redskins fans don't like him, but I think 7-7 with all the injuries this year, it's actually been a pretty solid job so far for Jay Gruden. So will he be fired? Type Y for yes, type N for no. I'm not going to rule it out. If they collapse on the stretch, maybe that'll stop and finish the year 7-9. But with all of the injuries, you're down to in reality, your 4th-string quarterback. To even have won a game against Jacksonville, I think is pretty darn impressive. All right, number 7, Ron Rivera, who is playing the Saints Monday night in a game that means, I think, a lot for his job status. If they lose that game, it will have been 6 straight losses. A team that has truly collapsed as of late would drop them to 6-8. In reality, really on the outside looking in of the NFC playoff picture. So if the Panthers lose this game, this might actually end up being too low for Riverboat Ron. If they win against the Saints, it's a huge victory for their playoff chances. I don't know if Ron Rivera is truly in a playoffs or bust mentality like Jason Garrett was and like John Harbaugh kind of is. But if that's the case, then he needs to start winning. So what should Carolina do with Ron Rivera? Type K for keep and type F for fire. I lean more towards keeping him. Look, I know Carolina's had a down year, but let's not kid ourselves. Cam Newton is not himself right now. He is very much banged up and injured, So I lean more towards keep. I do get the reasoning and the desire to let go of Rivera after a very disappointing year with a bunch of losses in a row. All right, number 6, Doug Marrone of the Jacksonville Jaguars, and very similar boat as Ron Rivera, although even worse. The Jags have lost 9 of their last 10 games. I have never seen a team win their Super Bowl, i.e. against the Patriots in the middle of the year, and then just completely collapse down the stretch. Doug Marrone has not done a good job this year. I think he is very much in danger. We'll see if the Jags give him one more year, but they already fired the OC middle of the year after making the AFC Championship game. That goodwill he earned after that season has very, very quickly eroded in Jacksonville. All right, number 5 now, Steve Wilks, who really helped himself out with a big win over the Packers. Frankly, if the Cardinals had 2 wins, he'd probably be at number 3, if not higher on this list. But the Cardinals, again, just looked absolutely awful against the Atlanta Falcons. And in reality, the way I view this coaching staff, I know the talent's not that good in Arizona either in reality. He looks outmatched every single week. He doesn't look like a legit NFL head coach. I feel like he's getting outcoached, and he already fired his OC after a handful of games in Mike McCoy. Byron Leftwich has done an okay job, I'd say, but overall, Steve Wilks, very disappointed by the job he's done. And amid buzz that the Cardinals could blow it up after just 1 year, I'll ask you, should Arizona fire Steve Wilks after just the 1 season? Like, I didn't really love the Steve Wilks hire in the first place, so I'm on board with it. I think you can go get somebody better. You can get an offensive mind, and your top priority right now has to be developing Josh Rosen and getting him more help on the offensive side of the ball. I don't know if Wilks is the guy to do that, even though Byron Leftwich, I know people like him. He's better than Mike McCoy, but he hasn't been the franchise savior I think someone to make him out to be. All right, folks, if you're looking for something to add to your holiday wish list, how about a Mizzen and Main shirt? The URL is comfortable.af, and that's very accurate because these shirts are indeed comfortable as F. You are not going to find a more comfortable shirt, be it a dress shirt, a workout shirt, whatever it is, than a Mizzen and Main shirt. Comfortable.af is the site. Go check them out today. We'll take you now to number 4 on our NFL head coaching hot seat. It's Marvin Lewis. And I'll make the same joke I make pretty much every single week because I think it's accurate. I think he has blackmail on Mike Brown because I don't know how Marvin Lewis, who has been nothing but mediocre the past several years, still searching for an actual playoff win, deserves extensions, let alone to be retained at any level. So now I'll make note here, the extension for Marvin Lewis in 2019 for next year isn't really a true extension. It is a team option. So what that means is Mike Brown's going to have to say and announce, yes, we are bringing back Marvin Lewis as our head coach, and the fans, I know this very well, will not be very happy. Now, maybe they bring in someone like an Eric Bieniemy who has the ties to the organization that Mike Brown apparently desires and covets and mandates in his head coach, but I don't know. Maybe this is the year the Bengals finally fire Marvin Lewis, but it's been so long, I am personally at the I will believe it when I see it stage. Until then, because we saw it last year, right? There was the report that the Bengals were going to move on from Marvin Lewis, and then they kept him after a little bit of a rally down the stretch. And the Bengals coming off a win against the Oakland Raiders. Oh, goody, they're bad too. Maybe this is finally the year in Cincinnati the Bengals get a new head coach. All right, number 3, Vance Joseph, and he was really high earlier this year, had a big 3-game winning streak, had won 3 games against the Chargers, the Steelers, and the Bengals. And then Vance Joseph did Vance Joseph things, and the Broncos did Broncos things, and they've just collapsed down the stretch. Denver was in position to find their way into a playoff spot. They were competing, and they actually had a decent, maybe not the most likely shot, but they were playing well enough that maybe they could have made a late run. That has no longer been the case. After those big wins over the Chargers, over the Steelers, over the Bengals, 2 of them are on the road against better teams, against the Chargers on the road, at home against Pitt. Then you lose to the Niners, who are one of the worst teams in the NFL. You lose to the Browns in painstaking fashion. Why'd you kick the field goal advantage? I will never understand. You lose 17-6. You get eliminated from the postseason. I think at this point, it's the end of the road for Vance Joseph. All right, number 2, Todd Bowles, coming off an earlier win, like I should say last week against the Bills. The Jets have regressed now to 4-10, and they look like the Jets. The offense isn't all that great. They haven't played well enough to justify anything in particular. In terms of retaining Vance Joseph, they're going to probably finish last in the AFC East. I will be stunned if Todd Bowles returns next year. In reality, I think at the end of the season, he's simply going to be let go, and the Jets will go find somebody that can get the most out of their future of the franchise, Sam Darnold. Now, it's the holiday season, and I'm playing Santa Tom this year, hooking you guys up with an NFL jersey. It's the best deal of the year. All you've got to do is get started with our partner, BetDSI. Head over to chatsports.com/bet. Use promo code LIVE120. That gets you a 120% deposit bonus. So you put down $50, BetDSI will give you $60 for free to bet with. And once you do that, DM us on Twitter @chatsports, and we'll get you guys hooked up with an NFL jersey. Now, inventory is limited. We have plenty of it, but it's going rather quickly, so you better get on that action now. Chatsports.com/bet, promo code LIVE120, then DM us on Twitter @chatsports. All right, to number one now, Dirk Koetter. He is also going to be gone. Now, there's buzz that teams want Dirk Koetter as their OC, to which I say, why? He's not very good. I never understood this hire in the first place. Todd Monken, the Bucs OC, although Koetter did take away play calling from him for some reason, is better at his job than Dirk Koetter is. Look, the Bucs are now officially out of the playoff race. Dirk Koetter is not going to be retained unless the Bucs do something really, really weird and crazy, and maybe if Jameis Winston becomes, the greatest quarterback ever the past 2 games. I just have a very tough time seeing the Bucs retaining Dirk Koetter because it doesn't make sense for them. Go get somebody else, but I'll make note here, the entire organizational franchise, from the front office down to the coaches, could all be in for a massive overhaul this offseason. All right, to recap the NFL coaching hot seat, the top 10 guys right now in danger of being fired. There's Jason Garrett, John Harbaugh, Jay Gruden, Ron Rivera, Doug Marrone. And then the top 5, Steve Wilks, Marvin Lewis, Vance Joseph, Todd Bowles, and Dirk Koetter. Now, we'll look forward to Black Monday. Black Monday's always fun around the NFL because things just go crazy and coaches get fired, and it's always the best because there's always a lot of chaos there. So I'll ask you, how many NFL head coaches will be fired on Black Monday? Now, I guess I'll allow you guys to include the coaches that get fired Sunday night, but I'm thinking Dirk Koetter, I'm thinking Todd Bowles, I'm thinking Vance Joseph, somebody else, maybe a Steve Wilks, but I'm not going to include Marvin Lewis on there, A, because the Bengals will never fire him, and B, if they do, I bet it comes later on in the week because Mike Brown doesn't make immediate decisions.